All the engines on the island of Sodor look forward to Harvest Festival time, but most of all, they look forward to the Fat Controller's Harvest Fireworks display. The Fat Controller came to see Thomas and James. James was overjoyed. Thomas wasn't happy at all. James steamed proudly across the countryside. He was having a wonderful day. Thomas was still upset when he arrived at the coaling plant, and he biffed the trucks crossly around the yard. When James arrived at the depot, he was very excited. The wagons were all ready for him, filled safely to the top with fireworks. James was coupled up with the precious cargo, and he steamed away. Thomas shunted the last truck crossly into place. The trucks were glad that job was finished. James happily steamed along. He was thinking about the fireworks. He was imagining all the sparkles flashing and the shooting stars, when suddenly there was a loud noise, and James ground to a halt. Thomas puffed back into Knapford Station as Gordon was letting off his passengers. Children and grown-ups from all over the island had come to see the fireworks. Seeing the children cheered Thomas up, but the Fat Controller looked concerned, and he set off to collect James. Thomas puffed across the countryside. Even with his light on, Thomas knew he had to be careful. Thomas found James broken down on the track. James was upset, but when Thomas got behind James, he couldn't see ahead. James was very cross. James didn't want the children to be sad, so he agreed to look out for Thomas, and they set off together. When the tracks were straightening clear, James called out, and Thomas did. They were soon working happily together and making very good time. Sir Topham had checked his watch. There was still no sign of Thomas or James. Even Gordon was worried. So the disappointed children started to board the coaches. At last, they could see the signal lights. The signal had turned red. Thomas and James stopped. Thomas and James were very upset, and they sounded their whistles as loudly as they could, but no one could hear them. The children were all on board. Gordon was ready to depart. Then Thomas had a bright idea. So his driver carefully lit a rocket. He stood well back as it whooshed into the sky. The rocket burst into stars. The junction signal turned to green, and Thomas and James were soon on their way. James and Thomas were soon at the station. The children cheered. That night, Thomas and James watched the fireworks together. The end.